In 1941, Hungary made a decision it believed would restore its lost lands and national pride. Instead, that decision led to the destruction of its army, the occupation of its country, and the loss of its independence. Hungary did not enter World War II because it wanted global conquest. It entered because it believed it had no other choice. To understand why Hungary joined the war, we must go back not to 1941, but to the aftermath of the First World War. In 1920, Hungary signed the Treaty of Trianon, one of the harshest peace settlements in European history. The treaty reduced Hungary to less than one-third of its former size. More than two-thirds of its territory was taken away, and millions of ethnic Hungarians suddenly found themselves living outside the borders of their own country. For Hungary, Trianon was not just a treaty, it was a national trauma. In the years that followed, every Hungarian government shared one common goal: to revise the Treaty of Trianon and reclaim lost lands. This goal became the cornerstone of Hungary's foreign policy during the interwar period. But Hungary was weak, isolated, and surrounded by stronger neighbors. Czechoslovakia, Romania, and Yugoslavia formed an alliance known as the Little Entente. Its purpose was simple: to prevent Hungary from ever revising its borders. France supported this alliance, leaving Hungary diplomatically isolated. By the late 1920s, only one major power appeared willing to challenge the post-war order: Germany. As Adolf Hitler rose to power in the 1930s, Hungary saw Berlin as its best chance to undo Trianon. But this relationship was never equal. At first, Hitler showed little interest in Hungarian ambitions. He feared that supporting Hungary would complicate his own plans to dominate Central Europe. However, everything changed in the late 1930s. After Germany annexed Austria in 1938, Hungary suddenly became strategically important. Hitler needed Hungarian cooperation for his move against Czechoslovakia. Hungary hesitated. It did not want war, but cooperation brought rewards. Through German and Italian arbitration, Hungary regained parts of southern Slovakia and later northern Transylvania, mostly without fighting. To Hungarian leaders, it appeared that by the late 1930s, Hungary's foreign policy appeared to be paying off. Without fighting a major war, the country had already recovered significant territories lost after the First World War. To many Hungarian leaders, cooperation with Germany seemed like a success. But this success came with growing dependence. Germany was no longer just an ally. It was becoming Hungary's only path forward. After the annexation of Austria in 1938, Germany's influence in Central Europe expanded rapidly. Hungary now bordered the Third Reich directly, making it strategically important to Adolf Hitler's plans. That same year, Germany turned its attention to Czechoslovakia. Hungary hoped to take part in the dismantling of its former rival, but Budapest hesitated. The Hungarian government feared being dragged into a major European war before it was ready. Nevertheless, cooperation brought rewards once again. Through German and Italian arbitration, Hungary received parts of southern Slovakia in what became known as the First Vienna Award. For the second time since the Treaty of Trianon, Hungarian borders were revised in its favor. In March 1939, Czechoslovakia collapsed completely. As the country disintegrated, the region of Carpatho-Ukraine declared itself independent and appealed to Germany for protection. Berlin remained silent. Within days, Hungarian forces moved in and occupied the territory, crushing all local resistance. Once again, Hungary had gained land without facing a full-scale war. Despite its growing cooperation with Germany, Hungary was not yet fully committed to Hitler's cause. When Germany invaded Poland in September 1939, Hungary refused to take part. Instead, it allowed more than 100,000 Polish refugees to cross its borders. This decision reflected the policy of Hungarian Prime Minister Pál Teleki. Teleki sought to balance revisionism with neutrality. His goal was to recover lost territories while keeping Hungary out of a global conflict. For a time, this delicate strategy appeared to work. In 1940, the balance of power in Eastern Europe shifted once again. The Soviet Union seized Bessarabia and northern Bukovina from Romania, throwing the region into crisis. Fearing instability, Hitler intervened and demanded negotiations between Hungary and Romania. The result was the Second Vienna Award. Hungary regained northern Transylvania, a territory with deep historical and emotional significance. Celebrations erupted across the country. By the end of 1940, Hungary had recovered large portions of its former lands, almost entirely without bloodshed. But Germany now expected loyalty in return. On November 20th, 1940, Hungary formally joined the Tripartite Pact alongside Germany, Italy, and Japan. With this decision, Hungary officially became a member of the Axis. This marked a turning point. Up to this moment, Hungary had benefited from cooperation without being fully drawn into war. Now, neutrality was no longer an option. The final test came in early 1941. Yugoslavia, the last remaining member of the Little Entente, stood in the way of German plans in the Balkans. In March, Hungary and Yugoslavia signed a treaty of eternal friendship, pledging peace and cooperation. Only days later, Yugoslavia joined the Tripartite Pact. 2 days after that, a military coup overthrew the Yugoslav government. For Hitler, this was unacceptable. Germany prepared for the invasion of Yugoslavia and pressured Hungary to take part. Prime Minister Pál Teleki faced an impossible choice. By joining the invasion, Hungary would betray its treaty with Yugoslavia. By refusing, it risked German retaliation and the loss of everything it had gained. On the night of April 3, 1941, Teleki took his own life. In his suicide note, he wrote that Hungary had broken its word and thrown away its honor. Despite this tragedy, the invasion went ahead. Hungarian forces crossed the border alongside German troops. Within days, Yugoslavia collapsed. Hungary regained territories in Vojvodina and other regions, once again with minimal resistance. But this time, the cost was different. Britain severed diplomatic relations with Hungary. The country was now firmly tied to Nazi Germany, and the path ahead would soon lead far beyond border revisions into a catastrophic war against the Soviets. By the spring of 1941, Hungary was no longer merely revising borders. It was drifting toward a far more dangerous conflict. Despite joining the Axis, Hungary initially tried to avoid war with the Soviet Union. Berlin did not formally request Hungarian participation in its invasion plans. Hitler doubted the effectiveness of the Hungarian army. He feared that Hungary would demand further territorial rewards in exchange for fighting. For a brief moment, it seemed Hungary might remain on the sidelines. Then, on June 26, 1941, everything changed. Hungarian cities were bombed by unidentified aircraft. Soviet markings were reportedly found on the fragments, though the true origin of the attack remains unclear to this day. For Hungarian leaders, this was enough. Hungary declared war on the Soviet Union. The decision marked a point of no return. Hungary committed its best-equipped force, the Second Army, to the Eastern Front. Poorly supplied, undertrained, and lacking modern armor, these troops were sent thousands of kilometers from home. German observers quickly noted serious weaknesses. The Hungarian army lacked adequate artillery, air support, and winter equipment. As the war expanded eastward, Hungarian units were tasked with holding long stretches of the front. Some positions were defended by only a handful of soldiers. In the summer of 1942, Hungary's Second Army took part in Germany's southern offensive toward the Volga River. Their objective lay near the city of Stalingrad. Hungarian troops were deployed along the Don River, guarding the flanks of the German Sixth Army. These positions were dangerously exposed. When winter arrived, disaster followed. Temperatures plunged, supplies failed to arrive. Entire units were left without food, fuel, or proper clothing. In January 1943, the Red Army launched a massive counteroffensive. Soviet forces smashed through Hungarian lines with overwhelming force. Within days, the Second Army ceased to exist as an effective fighting unit. More than 100,000 Hungarian soldiers were killed, wounded, or captured. For Hungary, it was a national catastrophe. News of the destruction sent shockwaves through Budapest. The illusion of victory was gone. Hungary had sacrificed its army for a war it could not win. From this moment onward, Hungarian leaders began searching for a way out. But Germany would not allow its ally to escape so easily. The road ahead would lead not to peace, but to occupation.